it's
Lauren Daisy.
Welcome back to my channel. So, you know the drill. This is the WWE weekly roundup. Now, I'm filming this on Sunday because I was working yesterday, which meant I didn't have a chance to film it. And I've also not seen SmackDown yet. Yay, because my laptop was having a whole thing. I thought it was gonna die. I was having a moment. But we move. So yeah, I'm just gonna film the Raw bit, just get it out of the way. I'm gonna film the Raw bit now, and then I'm gonna watch SmackDown. So then when I come back and do the SmackDown half, it's gonna be, I'll probably look different, but yeah. So I'm gonna start off with Raw. First of all, I love the Firefly funhouse. I have said that before. I love the Fiend. I love Bray Wyatt. I think the character is so freaking good. It's so good. Fight me, it's so good. And I think Randy as well. The kind of combination of the two, because obviously the Fiend and Randy both like are heels. Like neither of them like give off babyface vibes. So they're both kind of like, I don't even know what you call it, like anti-heroes, like, because they're both so good, and I feel like people cheer for both of them. So I think they're just so well matched. Has Andy who is that? Randy has had this kind of gimmick of like he hears voices and stuff for like ever now, and I think the Fiend being that true like creepy playing into that, I think it's just quality TV. And this week with the Let's Get Randy like 80s game show parody, I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. It's so well done, honestly. 10 out of 10. Not only do I think Randy himself does amazing promos, I think he's such a great talker, and he just knows his gimmick, his shtick. He knows it so well now that it all just seems like so natural. Like none of it seems forced, none of it you're watching it and you're like, oh god, this is like cringy. Like, no. Love Randy. I think it's the perfect balance between almost like horror and comedy in like a weird way. It's like so creepy, but then also like just hilarious and entertaining, and Bray is just, he's so good. So yeah, that was a great opening to the show for me. I absolutely loved it. First match was Asuka with Lana versus Shayna with Nia. This match was pretty good. Well, any match with Asuka I always love, but I am actually really liking this storyline they've got going. I think that Asuka and Lana make such an adorable little team, and I actually would, I know I said in my last video, I'm not sure about Asuka having both belts at the same time, which I kind of stand by that, because Bailey and Sasha like just having like all the gold like was like fine for a while, but then it gets a little boring. Like, let someone else have a shot. But with that being said, I really love their team, and I actually would really like to see them win it at TLC. They're both great submission wrestlers. They were doing this kind of like submission, like back and forth, like Asuka's in control and then Shayna would counter it and then back. I thought that was great. I really enjoy Asuka's, I hope I'm saying that right, I'm really sorry if I am not, but I really love her moveset, like the German suplexes, the face busters. Like, she's so good. She's just such a good part of the women's division right now. Like, I love her. I was like cheering, I was like, yes bitch, when Lana was like countered Nia's attack and like did the Hurricane Runner and sent her into the announce table. I was like, we do love to see it. Yeah, Asuka ended up winning because like Shayna was distracted by like everything that Lana and Nia had going on. But yeah, I really liked it, and I'm actually really enjoying the storyline, though it is kind of the only like women's storyline that Raw has going at the moment, so I'd kind of like them to start another one, but just because obviously they're chasing the tag team titles, and like the women's championship is like caught in that rivalry because obviously Asuka's in like going after both. So it would be kind of cool to see another women's storyline on Raw. There is obviously Dana Brooke is kind of in this Retribution storyline at the moment, kind of. I said it last time, Retribution, I don't vibe with them. Okay, I don't vibe with them. I just don't know what it is, man. I just find them absolutely laughable. Like I'm sorry, I'm sure they're all lovely people and they're all very excited to get this like opportunity to be on the main show and all that, but they just do not sell it to me. And the bloody camera angles, what the hell? Who? I want to meet the person that on Raw, I can't even speak, that on Raw every week is like, yeah, do that. Have them like cut to weird angles. Also, they interviewed Dana Brooke and Ricochet before the match, and I just don't know how they say those names seriously. They were like Slapjack and Reckoning, like don't know what's coming or whatever they were saying, and I'm just like, how do you say that with a straight face? Like Slapjack? I just can't. I love a mixed tag match. I do. I love a mixed tag match, and I feel like they don't do them enough. I just think they're so good, and I also absolutely loved Dana Brooke and Ricochet. I said in my last video that I don't really know who Dana Brooke is, like she's not really one that I know about, but I was really impressed by their match. I thought they worked so well together as a team, and also they were just cool. Like before the match started they were doing like flips and tricks, and I was like, these guys are cool. The match literally was like 2 seconds. I think it was about 2 minutes. Like once the bell actually rang, I think it was like 2 minutes. So it was super short, but yeah, it was fine. Like it was cool. Ricochet literally just like launching himself over the top rope, like, you know, I love anything like that. And Dana's like, I can't remember what they called it, like sit out slam or something like that. That was really cool. So I think it's a shame it was so short because I did think they worked really well together, but I guess maybe they'll be like a team going forward as well. So Miz TV, you know, I love Miz TV. They had AJ Styles on, which, by the way, what a trio. Like I like, if you'd told me that they were gonna like be put together in like a promo or something, I would not have guessed that they would be as good as they are. I thought they were absolutely hilarious. The three of them together were so jokes. They had such a good like banter, and they bounced off of each other really well. So yeah, what a random trio, but also like it worked out great. Like they were so good. The Miz and Morrison impersonating Sheamus and Drew, dear lord. Anytime that Americans try to impersonate anyone who's British, I always find it absolutely hilarious because they're always pretty bad. But I thought it was hilarious. Drew versus AJ at TLC I think is going to be an amazing match, and I'm so excited for it. I don't know if Miz is going to cash in his Money in the Bank. I'm not sure. But I do think that's going to be a really good match. Drew, listen, I love Drew, and every week I love to see Drew, but particularly this week I was quite happy to see Drew. He like this kilt and this long sleeve, this whole like all black number going on, and I was like, okay, yep, I would like to see more of that, please. Dear lord. Drew throwing the briefcase and hitting the Titantron, gold. Might even be my favorite moment of the night. That was just hilarious. How he threw it that far, I have absolutely no idea, but I just thought that was so jokes. And how like Miz and John, well, I didn't really see John Morrison, but how Miz managed to stay in character and like chase after it, I have no idea, because I would have been absolutely creasing. I feel like this little group of 5 they got going, Sheamus, Drew, Miz, Morrison and AJ, are such a good group. Like they work so well together, all their segments are funny, their matches are really good. I think they're so good, and I think also it's a really good balance against you know, it's kind of like a funny, like, you know, they just like kind of like throw shots at each other. It's all pretty jokes, and that I think is a really good contrast to Brandy and Fiend's more serious type of feud they've got going. I think they balance each other out really well. So we actually had 2 Kofi matches. The first one was against Shelton Benjamin, and it was really short, and I was like, what is with all the short matches? But then they've restarted it, kind of like Cedric challenged Kofi and they fought as well, so that kind of made sense. And Kofi is one of my favorites. He's been one of my favorites for years. When I was watching WWE before, like 2011, I really loved Kofi, and I just love that he's getting his moment. Like, you know, tag team championship, even though the WWE championship run wasn't, you know, as good as it should have been, for him. I just love him, and I love that he's getting his moment. So I always love to watch him wrestle. Yeah, Trouble in Paradise, absolute classic. So that was how I finished off Shelton Benjamin, and then Cedric was like, we're not done, get back in here. So then it was them two. Like I said, I think Cedric Alexander is great. I'll be honest, until last week's episode of Raw, I did not know who this man was.
He could be walking down the street, I wouldn't know a thing. Sorry to this man.
But I really like him, and I think he's gonna have a great singles career. I really do see that if I was gonna make a prediction, because last week when he won, he celebrated like without the Hurt Business, like he kind of like left. And this week as well, he seems to be kind of getting frustrated with the Hurt Business. So I feel like he could be splitting off on his own, which I would really like. I think he's really good. I think he's a great talker, but also technically he really impresses me. And his lumbar check finisher, I think I mentioned this last week as well, I love it. I don't know why, I just think it's cool. Yeah, I liked the Cedric match more than the Shelton one. I just found it a bit more entertaining. Then we had Drew and Sheamus versus AJ, Miz and Morrison, which I think was my favourite match of the night. I loved it. Right at the start, Drew punched Morrison, and Morrison, I tell you, that man knows how to sell a move. Like, he went flying, and I just think it's so good. Like, Dolph as well is another one where they just sell moves, and it makes the match so much more entertaining. And I think you always have to give the credit there, because when they sell the moves, then it just makes everything look so much better. I didn't think that AJ was even going to be in this match. Like, I kind of thought maybe he would just like avoid being tagged in the whole time, and if he did, then it wouldn't be against Drew, which is kind of like basically what happened. He did tag in once Drew was already like in the corner, like being punched. He like tagged in, gave him a couple punches and tagged out. And then yeah, just kind of like cheeky heel stuff, which I always love. And they were kind of like setting up for Sheamus to turn on Drew, and I was like, oh my gosh, I hope not, because obviously they're besties in real life, but I just really like them as a team. Though I do think Sheamus versus Drew would be a good feud actually, but I just think they're hilarious together. So like I said, I love heel tactics. Miz with like the right to Sheamus's eye, just like and I think Miz and Morrison are always there with like the cheeky little like pulling each other out of matches, like just, you know, all that kind of stuff I love. Also, I love seeing Morrison win in matches. I really do, okay? I love that man. Just, I think he is so insanely talented as a wrestler. I think he's a great talker as well, and his character is so good. I love Johnny Nitro, and you know how that kind of evolved into John Morrison, and I think he's so talented. I think he is so good. So whenever he and he takes a lot of beatings, okay, and from when I've started watching again, he has it rough. So anytime that I get to see him like winning a match, like I love it. Another highlight of any match is anytime Drew does a kip up. I'm obsessed. They're so good. honestly. And then Sheamus accidentally hitting Drew with the bro kick. I'll be honest, I didn't see that coming. I thought maybe like, I don't know, they've kind of been setting up this like him turning on him thing, but I thought it would actually be like him turning on him, not like an accidental one. So I was literally like, no way. And then AJ did the phenomenal forearm on him while he was all like, oh my god, Drew, like, and then absolute top quality, amazing. I really did. I really loved it. They had some backstage stuff. So Lana is gonna face Nia next week, which I'm excited about, and I hope Lana wins. So these are my two things I'm hoping for. Either Lana wins and she wins properly, not like, you know, like count out, not disqualification, not any kind of like gimmicky win where like Nia's just like distracted or something happens and then she just like, you know, like I'd like her to actually win it, or she loses it, which is just like the realistic thing. So yeah, that's gonna be next week. She was basically just talking to Asuka about how she's like so scared to face Nia, and then Nia was stood right there. So yeah, I think that has the potential to be a good matchup if they don't make it all like a bit silly, do you know what I mean? And then Drew and Sheamus got into a full-on backstage brawl up there with some of my favorite things in WWE. I love a backstage brawl. And they were like fighting in catering because obviously he was like, well, why did you kick me and all that stuff. So they got into it, and then this WWE official came over. I think it might have even been the one that Nia like got suspended for like hitting him or something, you remember that? And he came over to try and like break it up, and they threw him into a table, into all the food, and it was great. It was quality backstage segment. I loved it. And then they were like, do you want to go and get a pint? And then they left. Like, yeah, I do. I love Drew and Sheamus' friendship, and I love that it's like a real friendship as well, like they're actually friends. So yeah, I think their little duo is great, and I would love to see them against Miz and Morrison again as well. You see there, and if you watch my other video, you know I love Jeff Hardy, okay? I love that man. He is like my favorite, one of my favorite wrestlers ever. I love him. So as I mentioned before, just bias alert, I don't think I've ever seen a Jeff Hardy match I haven't liked. So that's that on that. It was him versus Bobby Lashley. For me, Bobby, okay, again, give my respect to Bobby. He's been around a long time, he's a good wrestler, all that, but his gimmick has never really sold me. Like his character back in the day, now I don't know what it is. For me personally, we just don't connect. Not that we need to. I mean, he's probably fine with that not happening, but like I'm sorry to Bobby, but that's just how I feel. Yeah, so it was them two. I also loved, before the match started, Riddle was like talking to Jeff backstage, and he was like, I think we should be called the Hardy Bros, like be a tag team, and it would be like Broetry in Motion, like that would be our finisher. And Jeff was all like, oh, like I think that's cool, man. Like I just love Jeff, he just seems like such a sweetie. And that little duo I think has such potential to be such a good tag team. Like, I don't know, I just thought they were so cute, because obviously Bobby had attacked Riddle last week, I think it was, or the week before. Jeff's face paint, I always love it, he's so creative, but this week especially it looked sick. Like it looked so cool. It was like snakes on one half, and then it had like a kind of like green and yellow thing going on the other side, and I was like, that looks so cool. Bobby kind of like dominated a good part of the match, but Jeff's always got such like creative counters to moves and stuff that like I never really see, and I always think that's so cool. I feel like they're like setting up this Riddle Bobby Lashley storyline. Or maybe even I don't know about a Jeff and Bobby Lashley story. I'm not really sure where they're taking Jeff at the moment, but like maybe Riddle and Bobby Lashley, like to get Riddle into a US title run, which I think would be so cool. because I really love Riddle's gimmick, and I think him as the US champion would be pretty cool. Listen, I think when Bobby uses it, it's called like the hurt lock, but it will always be the master lock to me. And every time that he does that move on someone, I just think of like, you remember when it was like a challenge, like the master lock challenge, and it was Chris Masters, and like, what an odd time in WWE that was. Like, yeah, what an odd time for everyone involved. Does anyone else remember that? That's literally all I can think of when I see him do that move. But anyway, Jeff tapped out. And oh, I didn't even mention, Riddle like came out, like I think MVP was like trying to like mess with the referee or something, I can't remember. Yeah, he came out to be like, back off, and to like just be like in Jeff's corner. Jeff tapped out, which I never like to see, but we got to see like Whisper in the Wind, Twist of Fate, and Bobby did a, oh my god, what's it called, like flatliner or something. So yeah, it was like a really entertaining match. It was really good. So yeah, and MVP bloody ate Riddle's like donuts at the end. I was like, geez man, way to rub salt into the wound. And then the last match of the evening was Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton. I just, again, I love Bray. I think he is so, not only is he a really talented wrestler, but his ability to sell his characters is just beyond. He was like stayed in character the whole time, like smiling even when Randy was like doing like moves and stuff. And just props to him for constantly remaining in character the whole time. The Sister Abigail countered into the neck breaker was so cool. I loved that. Like both of them took bumps on the announce table. Whenever Randy does like that kind of like, I don't even know what you call it, like the draping DDT or something like that, that's a sick move. I always love that. One thing I have to say that I do love about the Thunderdome is it gives them the opportunity to do these more like theatrical type matches, and the lights going dark, and then obviously Bray, so Randy hit Bray with the RKO, and then when the lights came back on, it was actually the Fiend under there, which was so good. Honestly, I mean, I kind of like was predicting it, kind of expected that, but it didn't take away from it. I still thought it was a great ending, and yeah, I'm really excited for like TLC, and because they'll still have the Thunderdome, obviously maybe they'll do some more like cool theatrical type stuff, because I do find those matches really cool, like the ones they had at WrestleMania and stuff. I think the Thunderdome gives them the ability to really have some cool moments. So that was basically everything that happened on Raw, and then I'm gonna go now and watch SmackDown, so then I'll be back in like, I think it's like 2 hours long, so hopefully it's not too late. So it's like 4 hours later, but I finally watched SmackDown. Jeff Hardy has turned into Fall Out Boy, just so much time has passed. My written like blog article review of SmackDown as well, so that's up, and I'll leave that one and the link to my Raw one down there as well. So first of all, they had the, well, what was supposed to be the contract signing between Sasha and Carmella, and basically Carmella was like, I'm not coming out there because you literally attacked me last week, so I've already signed the contract and I'm just gonna send this guy, some bloke, I don't know who he is, maybe he's like a superstar people know, but I don't know him. I think she said his name, but I can't remember it. But yeah, so she sent him down to the ring. Also, this is a side note, but I want to know who styles Sasha Banks, because her outfits are, did the camera just move, or am I like crazy? Yeah, I want to know who styles Sasha Banks, because her outfits are just insane. Like, they're so good. She always looks absolutely stunning, but that's a side note. Yeah, so basically Carmella was just being like, I'm in charge here, I'm not coming to the ring if I don't want it, and sent this guy down, and Sasha just like gave him a backbreaker. She flipped the table on him. It was great. It was amazing. So that was a really good opening segment, and then they decided that they were going to Sasha was basically like, fight me now, and they face each other as the main event, which I will never get tired, okay? Never get tired of women main eventing the main shows, because oh, just makes my childhood heart happy, okay? Because when I was watching WWE the first time round, where I was obsessed with it the first time round, I would always watch the women's matches, or divas matches as they were called back then. I always watched them. I watched every single one, on all the shows, Superstars, SmackDown, Raw, and yeah, they would be like 2 minutes long. Like the main women's match for that week would be like 2 minutes long, 5 minutes long. Sometimes you'd get a 7-minute if you were lucky. So I just love that women are getting main events. Obviously, the first ever time with Trish and Lita back in like 2006, I think it was, just set such a bar and was such a huge thing at the time. And now I love that it's just kind of like normal. Like it's just like, yeah, they're gonna be the main event. Yes. I also think that Carmella is a really great heel. I absolutely love this like rebrand of her. I think it's so good. I think she's really like, I don't know, just kind of like thriving with it. And I think her and Sasha have a really great dynamic as well, and I'm really loving their rivalry right now. Yeah, so then the first match was Montez Ford with Angelo. Why am I struggling with that? Angelo Dawkins versus Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. Robert Roode isn't really a guy I know like at all, honestly, but I mean, he seems fine. He seems like a great partner for Dolph. I think they work quite well. They're kind of like gimmicks are pretty cool with like their leather jackets and stuff. I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah, so again, Dolph is one of my favorites. I love him. He's such a good heel, and I just feel like, and he's genuinely funny as well. Like I think he's genuinely funny, and he just always like, he's so good at just really like hammering home like, I'm a heel, I'm cocky, like I'm over, like all this stuff. And yeah, I just think he does it really well. The match was good. There was some really great moves from Montez. Blockbuster, standing moonsault, like his kick-ups are insane. Like he literally does like full on flip. I love watching him wrestle. I think he's just so talented. And the Street Profits, I really like them. I think they're honestly up there with some of my favourite tag teams ever. Their energy is just like unmatched. Like it must just be so much fun to see them live. Like that pop when like the crowd comes out, they just get so hyped, and I just, yeah, I really love it. So that was cool. And then they had like the solo cups like get like shot out into the ring. I don't know why I couldn't think of any words just then. And that was really cool. That was really fun. Their matches are always super entertaining and super fun. The other thing I will say about their solo cups is I hope that they just reuse them every week, because if not that's a lot of waste. So Robert Roode then attacked Angelo, and that like distracted Montez while he was about to go for like a frog splash. And they're probably, if I had to guess, I feel like they're probably going to get a title opportunity soon, because now Ziggler has won against Montez, and I think as a tag team they have won against the Street Profits before as well. So yeah. The next match was Big E versus Sami Zayn, and I love Big E, okay? I do. I just think he's so good. I think just his personality, his just whatever you want to call it, is so good. He's so funny, he's so entertaining, he's so likable. Like, he's so easy to get behind and support, and I'm just really enjoying this singles run from him. You see it a lot where people split off from tag teams, and sometimes they can kind of just lose their footing a bit, like, you know, and it's something that you always hear wrestlers talk about that have been in tag teams. You know, you have the Hardy Boys and you have Edge and Christian, and you know, for that first bit when they're by themselves, some people can really struggle to create a strong singles presence and get over with the fans, and I think Big E is doing a great job. I think Big E's doing a great job, and I'm so excited for where this singles run is going to take him. I think he's just got great potential, and I'm really excited about it. Like, even just how he is, like his in-ring presence. Like, he went and sat like on the ropes and was just like taunting Sammy and stuff, and it was just like, it's just so entertaining. And I think he deserves to be in those main event matches, in those big pay-per-view matches, in the championship picture. So I do hope that this kind of rivalry type thing he's got going with Sammy will lead to a Intercontinental Championship opportunity and maybe like a run. I think that'd be really cool. I did see Talking Smack actually. Paul Heyman was basically just saying about how much potential Big E has, and he was saying how, you know, breaking away from the New Day, and how when people talk about Roman Reigns, they never mention the Shield. And it's pretty crazy because I mean, I was kind of coming out of watching WWE when the Shield were like in their peak, but they were massive. Like, the Shield were a huge part of WWE, and now, you know, when Roman comes out, he is just a absolute star main event act on his own, and I think the same could definitely go for Big E. And also, like, I just really love listening to Paul Heyman like talk about the industry and things like that, because he's just so wise about it. He has so much knowledge and true understanding of the business and how it works, and I just love listening to people like him, Triple H, Edge, you know, like a lot of those kind of like legends and stuff when they talk about the company. I find it really interesting, and I think Paul's definitely one of those. So yeah, Big E was pretty much in control the whole time, but Sami Zayn did have some like sneaky roll-up pin attempts and things like that. And something I really love in matches is when you've got more of a sort of like I wouldn't really call Sami Zayn like a high flyer or anything like that, but when you have people that like to go to the top rope and the more powerhouse wrestlers like catch them mid-air, I just always think that's a great counter, and I always find that very entertaining. Yeah, so then Sami was basically being like, oh, like my wrist hurts, like he had it in some kind of like strap thing. And so the ref was like dealing with that, and then he slapped Big E, and Big E was just like, no sir, and started chasing him, and they went like round and like got caught between like Cole and Corey and went under the ring, and ended up with Big E being counted out. So I thought that was a pretty fun ending, honestly. Usually I'm not a fan of like count out endings, but that one was pretty good. And yeah, I just hope that he gets a shot at the Intercontinental title. I think it would just be a really good thing to kind of like, I mean, he has, you know, had single stuff before, but I think they're really like pushing this singles run now really separate from the New Day, and I think winning something like the Intercontinental Championship would kind of like cement this part of his singles career. And some backstage stuff, Bianca and Bailey were like arguing backstage, and it was really funny. Bianca was like she was just saying like how Bailey looked dusty, and she was like, let me get the receipts, and she was saying like, who was the last member of Team SmackDown Survivor Series? Me, like all this stuff. So I think that's a really interesting rivalry, and I also really like that SmackDown has women's rivalries kind of like running alongside each other, like not just one storyline, which Raw is kind of just like stuck with that one storyline between Lana and Nia, like that whole thing at the moment. So I like that SmackDown's kind of got different things going on in the women's division. Jey Uso was kind of just like crawling back to Roman, kind of trying to like basically like desperate for his approval. It's all getting a bit embarrassing for Jey, isn't it, really? I literally was like, I love seeing like the Usos in the main event, like that's so cool. And then it's literally just Jey getting his ass handed to him every week, and then going to Roman being like, I'm sorry. So that was that. KO's promo was great. I love KO, and I think it was just really good to kind of like build excitement for their match. And then he obviously went backstage, and well, Jey got involved, but again it completely backfired on him, and KO ended up putting him through a table with a powerbomb. So yeah, but what were we expecting, really? And then like Roman came out, and Heyman was like doing his controlling thing where he's like, you know, it's not worth it, like you run the show, you decide when you fight him, like don't go in the ring. And again, I just love Paul. And then yeah, so KO went backstage looking for Roman, and Roman like jumped in from behind and attacked him, which is pretty brutal. And I love a backstage brawl. As we've seen from the Drew and Sheamus, I love a backstage brawl. And I thought, honestly, the promo, well, honestly, when Roman at the end was like looking into the camera and he was like fully like addressing Kevin Owens' kids and his wife, and being like, you need to talk some sense to your husband, your dad, like, or, you know, like, I put food on the table and I can take food off the table, whatever it was he said. Such a good heel move. Roman is such an amazing heel, and I'm just obsessed with him. I love him. And that was great. Like, I really think this Roman heel run is just one of the best. In like the time that I'm watching WWE now, and when I watched it before, he's just so good. And that like really like looking into the camera, addressing his family, that was good heel stuff. They had the Riot Squad face Billie Kay and Natalya, which had like started from something that happened on Talking Smack, where Billie was just like getting in the way with her resume, and Liv Morgan was like, yeah, we'll fight you next week, sure. And it was literally, I blinked and it was over. It was like 2 minutes long. Natalya got some good like moments in with Liv, and then like Billie like tagged herself in and ended up accidentally hitting Natalya in the face, and then she was gone. Yeah, so then Billie got like a double knee face breaker and a riot kick from Ruby, from like Liv and Ruby, and then that was that. So yeah, it was just kind of like a blink and you miss it type match. But I love the Riot Squad. I just think they're so cool. I love their ring gear. I love that they're just constantly like, they're just so cute. Like, they're not like cute, like look edgy and stuff, but like they're just like an adorable little team, like just like besties, like piggybacks and hugs, and like I just think they're so sweet. So I did like seeing them because, you know, they haven't been on as much. But yeah, so I did like seeing them, but honestly I just feel like WWE is failing the Iconics, and I'm not happy about it. Basically, firstly, I don't think they should have broken up the Iconics. I think it's like Vince or something wants to give Peyton like this big singles push, so he broke them up, but I think they should have stayed together. I think they could have done so much more like tag team stuff. And like I said before, when people have been in a tag team for so long, and then they split, they can kind of lose their footing when it comes to their singles career, and I think that's exactly what's happening kind of with both of them, but mainly Billie. They haven't given her a gimmick that's strong enough to push a singles career. It's just this weird thing where she's like handing out her resume to like just handing it out like around or whatever. That's like her kind of like gimmick, and it's really like just a weak gimmick really. And also suddenly it's like she like doesn't know how to wrestle. Like she tags herself in and then gets beaten instantly, which from seeing the Iconics, obviously that is not true. She has good in-ring ability and she has good mic skills as well, so I think she has the tools to be successful, but for some reason they're just kind of handling it quite poorly. Peyton too, she had a moment where I think she pinned Bailey in the Survivor Series match, but that was kind of it. I think she was on the main event this week, but yeah, again, I mean, I don't think she's really like thriving on her own or anything like that. I think the Iconics should have stayed together, but we are where we are now. There was Otis and Chad Gable, I think it is, versus Shinsuke and Cesaro. This match was like fine. The thing is, I think because there's quite a few people I don't know very well, I kind of struggle to get invested in the matches just because I don't really know them. That's kind of just like my fault. But I do quite like Otis. I think he's cool. But yeah, I don't know who Chad Gable is at all. And Shinsuke, I'd mentioned because he was in that 6-man tag match. I still haven't seen much of him because again this match was pretty short. But Cesaro and Chad were really good. Like they're really good technical wrestlers, and like with groundwork stuff. So it was a pretty good watch. But yeah, I don't know, it was kind of short and it wasn't like, I just wasn't too invested in it, honestly. Shinsuke's got cool ring gear though. Oh, and Cesaro did this like spin, so like Chad like jumped up and he caught him, and then Cesaro like spun him, like did so many spins, and I'm like, I don't know how you do that. Like first of all, if I was Cesaro I would be so dizzy, but then also if I was Chad Gable I'd probably throw up once he finally like let me go. So that was kind of cool. And then the last match, the main event, was obviously Sasha Banks versus Carmella for the SmackDown Women's Championship. I really loved this match. Carmella, also, this is just a side note thing, but you know they do the stats when the superstars come out on SmackDown. One of Sasha's is that she's the cousin of Snoop Dogg, like, and it's like she's won like multiple championships, and like you're gonna write that she's the cousin of Snoop Dogg. Anyway, yeah, so this was actually Carmella's first match back since like her like rebrand thing, and I thought she did really well. I was really impressed. I love Carmella, and obviously coming in to start watching WWE again earlier this year, basically everyone that I knew from the women's division is gone. The only one who's left is like Natalia, so it took me a while to kind of like get to know people and stuff, but Carmella was one that I loved like right from the start when I started watching it again, and she was one of the first women in the women's division that I really became invested in. So yeah, I really enjoy her matches anyway, and like I said, I'm obsessed with Sasha. I love her. I think she is my favourite women's wrestler at like in the current roster. So yeah, I really love their rivalry. I think they're a great dynamic. Carmella pretty much dominated the whole thing, kind of. Sasha had some good moments as well. But yeah, Carmella I thought did really well. She had a really cool Code of Silence submission, and like a and a crossbody from the top rope. That was pretty cool. But then her like weird errand boy man came and like pulled Sasha out of the ring, and then Sasha was like pissed, and then she got back in and she ended up getting disqualified because she had Carmella in the corner and ignored the 5 count. So obviously she retained the title, but Carmella technically won the match. And then Sasha attacked the guy again and put him in the bank statement and everything, which was awesome. But then Carmella kind of like did like a kick to the, it was like a kick to the head, and then she brought her outside of the ring and she smashed a bottle of champagne over her back, and then was like drinking champagne and celebrating and stuff. And yeah, I just think she's a really great heel, and I'm really enjoying the rivalry, and I hope, honestly I don't really know who's gonna win. I'd like to see Sasha have a longer title reign and than just this, so I'm not sure, but either way, whoever wins that, I really hope they continue their rivalry because I just think it's so good. Yeah, so that was everything for this week, both SmackDown and Raw. Like I said, I'll leave my written reviews in the description, and yeah, if you have any thoughts on the shows then let me know. Obviously Raw is tomorrow now so yeah, I'm excited to see that, and my review of Raw should be off on Tuesday. But yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.